name stood prominent. Yet like all movers and shakers, he had a humble beginning. He was born Garry Riemenschneider in 1948 to Ernestine and Herman Riemenschneider of East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Garry and I had something of a religious upbringing. Mom and Dad were members of Grace Lutheran Church right in town. It wasn't a strict upbringing, I thought, nothing like an Irish Catholic childhood. We did church every Sunday morning, and Mom always made a hot dish for the church supper every month. There was the one year Garry helped out with dessert. I think Mom always wished that he kept to studying the organ. Her father was a pastor, and my father went to seminary until World War II started. I think it was during the war that Dad fell in love with movies. He'd never seen one till then. I mean, he liked them as much as the other kids on our block. Abbott and Costello, W.C. Fields, the road pictures with Dottie L'Amour. I think he always had a thing for Dorothy L'Amour. He had a poster of her in his old footlocker.
Garry attended the Lutheran Seminary of Philadelphia for a year. However, his mind was on other things. After waking up from his first hangover in the fall of 1970, he was expelled from the seminary. He met Bill Conaway, a young production assistant and aspiring screenwriter, at an AA meeting, and the two rented an apartment together in South Philadelphia.
This was a historic meeting, kind of like Churchill and Roosevelt. Garry Torgeson and Bill Conaway, not to be confused with the Bill Conaway who wrote the Ipcress file, no. Garry and Bill churned out dozens of grindhouse films, often using just their apartment as a location. Sometimes they'd find a cemetery or a condemned building and would shoot before it was knocked down.
This was a new age in horror cinema. Hammer Pictures revolutionized the genre in the 1950s. Audiences saw gore and violence
The murder of the burgomaster,
in color
the murder of my
for the first
constable,
time.
or for the murder of this man here. The village is in danger! Shut him up!
To audiences, it was kind of a peep show to see a horror picture. And you know, they all had their own glamour. Those vampires had sex appeal. You know, Venusian Vampire Vixens the Third, a classic. They put gore and sex side by side. You know, show them what they can't see. You got your sexploitation, your blaxploitation, your Nazisploitation, your cannibalsploitation. And there you go.
Were you happy when they cast Michael Caine in Ipcress file?
Actually, that was the other Bill Conaway.
Wait, so you aren't Bill Conaway?
Well, I was born Joseph Conaway, but I am.
You never worked with Michael Caine.
No.
Cut it, no.
You write movies for that Garry Torgeson, right?
Yeah, well, I started as a PA on Flesh Eaters from Hell and Werewolves on Wheels, but, you know, I was working on my own stage play that I entitled,
What was it like writing for Torgeson? How's he with preserving the director's vision?
Look, I created Garry Torgeson, okay? I was a contributor writer on Star Trek. I met him at an AA meeting, and I says to him, hey, are you into movies? He says, actually, I'm working on a script. So I take a look. It's garbage. It's a mess. Totally unprofessional. I says, something about Crot Lutherans and the Indianapolis. And I says to him, I'm like, get your formatting straight, buddy. You work with me, we make real movies. And what's with that name anyway? Riemenschneider. I says to him, your old lady, before she got hitched, does she have a better moniker? He says, yeah, Torgeson. I says, Garry Torgeson. Now that is a horror director's name.
Were you the Bill Conaway who kept getting rejected from Star Trek? Because the Bill Conaway in England, he kept getting rejection slips, but he said he never sent anything.
Look, if you're calling me a fake, you can get out of here, buddy. After this new project, everyone's gonna forget about that hack over in England. There can only be one Bill Conaway, and you're all looking at him, pal.
Bill and Garry recruited Sharon Whistler as their scream queen, who by then was already known for a well-publicized affair with British rocker Ralph Hargrove of the Deadly Bees. She was often seen with her iguana, Fluffy, her co-star from Prehistoric Beach Party.
Who is this? God damn it, why are you doing this to me?
I killed your neighbor. I shoved a bottle of dish soap down his throat.
Was I good? Gary, was
Good.
that a good one?
What do you mean good? I'm the killer, sweetheart. I'm gonna stab you.
Not bad, huh? But her most compelling performance was in a short film called Naughty Nurses 2. It played in a small theater on 9th in Philly. That's where Bill discovered her. You know, Bill wasn't much of an actor, so they recruited an actor who starred in old war propaganda movies.
In Vampire Biker Chicks, I played the Undead Pimp. Movie called Showgirl Slayer, I was the mass killer. Demonic Sister, I played an evil nun. I wore wigs and high heels for that. It had been about 30 years since I acted before. This wasn't since the war. You know, I fought World War II, but I fought it in Hollywood. I was in a Universal picture called The Third Reich. I played Hitler. I also played a Japanese foot soldier. I wore mascara for a movie called Waterloo Canal. During the shooting in that movie, I walked across the street to a cafe, wearing all that makeup. The waiter must have called the cops the minute I walked into that place. Let me tell you something. They thought the Japanese had invaded Los Angeles. My favorite was doing radio. I did a rationing commercial one time. I was the butcher. My line was share the meat because. Then the announcer chimes in. America needs meat, the best meat, and plenty of it. After the war, I couldn't find work in pictures anymore. My agent, he spread my headshots all over the place. Then one day, Gary calls me out of the blue. He says he has a job for me, a part in Love Slaves of the SS. He said he looked at my headshot and I'd be great for the part. I said, Gary, that picture must be 30 years old. He goes, it doesn't matter, it'll work anyway. So I took the job and then I fired my agent.
All right, Sharon, so in this next scene,
Gary always directed
come
Bill's
in
stories.
And you find
Sharon
an
and I
Indian
acted.
body.
It was like a big family.
Slam the door.
Bill would be an
and that's
ass.
when you realize
But we still
you
had
had to do
a
your
good time.
painting here. And you realize he's probably still in the house.
Definitely been practicing for this scene.
Ugh, I feel kind of bad. It's a pretty nice painting, too. Hank,
I tell you, it's got a lot of nice colors in it, but that cockaballs really makes the picture.
doesn't it?
I think so. Fine work.